Number two is to awake. Awake and grow up in godliness as at the beginning. Awake and grow up. That's what Jacob was to learn, and what Jacob was to do. That's what you and I are to do. But it will take some evaluation. Where was I when I was at Bethel many years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago? Where am I today? I still go through the religious rigmaroles. I still go through the religious activities. But really, in comparison with 30, 40, 50 years ago, where am I now? That's why, as I evaluate, as I re-examine, as I find out, where could I have been if I had gone with the speed, spiritual speed that I had 30 years ago, 40 years ago? If Laban did not come in, if Padan Aram did not come in, if all those people did not come in, if I had kept the vision, if I had kept the calling, if I had kept the consecration as I had many years ago, where would I have been today? That's what God is saying. And therefore he says, awake and grow up in godliness as at the beginning. It tells us in Romans chapter 13 verse 11, and that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation, final salvation, nearer than when we believed. If Jacob had wasted about 30 years, no movement towards God, no activity in redemption, and no growth spiritual in his family, and if he had been living with his family day to day and year to year, for all these years he had been spiritually asleep. We who live today, where are we? Are we awake? Are we sleeping? Do we hear and we don't understand? Are we just there sleeping spiritually? Now is the time. And because the time of salvation, final salvation, the coming of the Lord is nearer than when we believe, it is time to awake out of sleep. Look at 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verse 33. It says, be not deceived, evil communications corrupt good manners. Look at that verse. If you look at the 5 most important person in your life that you relate with, you discuss with, you interact with, you reason with, you consult, 5 people in your life, whoever they are, your life will be like an aggregate of the life of those 5 people nearest to you. The people you talk to most, the people you text and receive texts from most, the people, anything you want to do, the first names that will come to your mind, those are the people you interact with, and those are the people you fellowship with. I'm not talking of just being in church. I'm talking of practical people that you relate with. Your life will be the aggregate of the life of those 5 people. And look at Jacob. who can we tell have been most in his life? His life has come to an average life. If the people you interact with and the people you discuss with and the people you consult and the people who are relevant to your life, if they are the common people, if they are the average people, if they are mediocres, if they are the people who are not godly and godlike, if they are the people that do not have the insight and the foresight to penetrate the future, your life will be like that. That's why I say, be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. And then in verse 34, awake to righteousness and sin not. Awake to righteousness and sin not, for some have not the knowledge of God. I speak this to your shame, Jacob. Awake to righteousness and sin not. The sin of the family, the sin of the father of the family, the sin of the wives and the children is the sin of the man, the head of the home. And the thing, of course, that Jacob knew, and he didn't have the courage to confront. Jacob knew, and he didn't have the stamina and the backbone to confront. It became his own sin. And that's why it says, awake to righteousness and sin not, for some have not the knowledge of God. I speak this to your shame. It tells us in Ephesians chapter 4, and I'm reading here from verse 14. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 14, that we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine by the sledge of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. And then in verse 15 it says, but speaking the truth in love may grow up. Truth helps us, supports us, drives us to grow up. When you know the truth and you meditate on the truth and you turn the truth over in your mind, that truth will begin to take root in your life. That truth will begin to make you dissatisfied with your present spiritual condition, and it will make you to want to arise, to awake, and then to move on. But speaking the truth in love may grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even